it is time for the power rankings, and the power rankings usually involve Jarrah sitting here in studio trolling me. That's what the entire method is of these. So I hope you've got your ammunition ready, Shane. And
don't you worry, I can do that from here.
There seems to be, I don't know, I've kind of always made this point that Peter Keane and the Kerry team in general just have a spot in Nathan Murphy's head, and he has an absolute obsession with the team. He clearly deeply loves the team and deeply wants them to do well, that they just occupy every single inch of his brain when he comes on air in the aftermath of any big football weekend. And I don't know, there's people here on the part of the show who are making a big deal about the power rankings, who are making a big deal about the fact that, I don't know, Kerry should be number one, and they want some sort of cathartic moment where I come out and like rip off my shirt and there's a Kerry jersey underneath it, and I'm here talking them up and saying they're definitely going to win the All-Ireland because they think and they know that there is an opportunity for them to be beaten at some point later on this year, and they'll get great pleasure from that as the summer rages on. So what I will do is I will go halfway, Shane, and I will say to you this morning that if there were to have been an official power rankings this morning, Kerry will be number one. However, there's a reason why we're not doing an official power rankings, because there are certain provincial finals that haven't been wrapped up yet. There is a certain team that have won 6 of the last 6 All-Ireland football finals playing this week, and they could yet reclaim top spot. So I'll say to you that Kerry are keeping the seat warm at number one, and the ball is in your court now, Dublin. Give us a 16-point plus win against Kildare. Very similar opposition to Cork, very similar standard opposition to Cork. You're also at home. You were at home against Kildare. Kerry were at home against Cork. So the same advantages, the same difference between you and your opponent should exist, and you should be at least kind of honouring Kerry's massive win at the weekend by a massive win of your own, Dublin. And if they don't do that, then Kerry will be doing more than just keeping the seat warm. They will be the concrete number one pick this time next week.
Is this the rip off the chest? Is that the rip off the chest that Nathan Murphy wanted? I wonder. Is that?
I'm sure it
definitive
is.
Enough? Like, you're saying, keep the seat warm. You're saying this is the unofficial power rankings, but you've just said it. I mean, they're currently number one in your rankings. You can call this official, unofficial, whatever you want to call it, Eoin. But the biggest win in the Munster final, that performance, and considering David Clifford wasn't even on form, his usual form, what we can expect of him. And a David Clifford with people doubting him now going into an All-Ireland semi-final against the Ulster champions. And by the way, that whoever that comes out of Ulster, it's going to be a different test to Cork. People in Kerry will know that. But at the same time, that was just a dominant Kerry performance. That was them putting their foot on Cork's neck and going for the jugular and just saying, nope, last year was a fluke. That's never going to happen again. The next 10 years are ours in Munster. We're going to dominate you. And you have absolutely no say in it. And Cork have pumped serious money into their GAA setups, and they're doing a lot of good things at underage. And that's gonna come to fruition in the next couple of years. But that Kerry performance at the weekend was their way of saying, nope, not a chance. This is not going to happen. And look, Dublin haven't been overly impressive, but they're still in the Leinster final. They're going to probably win that Leinster final on Sunday. Like, they weren't great against Wexford, and I say that tongue in cheek because I know they still won comfortably. But the performance that we're used to from these dubs, and you have to take things into account as well, like the number of players that have left the Dublin panel, the fact that Stephen Cluxton, their quarterback, essentially isn't in there. All of these things have to be taken into account in the power rankings. Like, sometimes logic doesn't come into the power rankings. Like,
sorry, what?
Monaghan keeping their. Well, this is it. Like, Monaghan kept their place in Division 1 for an 8th successive year, might I add. A county of 60,000 people. Only Dublin and Kerry have been in Division 1 longer than us. And we beat a team in Galway who are much bigger than us, Eoin. And not that I have a small man syndrome here or anything, but we like to get results like that, and we like to be doubted going into a game against Armagh, and then beat them. And granted, it was a 50-50 game, but Monaghan came out on top in the end when all was up against them, 2 points down, having led for so long, to come out and kick the last 4 points of the game and show the nerve that they did. And then they wake up on the Monday morning and see that they're, I can't remember where we were in Eoin Sheahan's power rankings. I think it was 6th maybe, but we were certainly behind Donegal, which was hilarious to me because we had drawn with Donegal earlier in the league, should have won that game as well. Conor McCarthy ran riot with a hat-trick of goals, let Donegal back into the game. Okay, a draw. We'll take a draw up in Ballyshannon. Not an easy place to get a result. But the power rankings kind of make a laughing stock out of it. But no, I'm happy for Monaghan to sit there, and I'm happy for them to still sit there after they beat Tyrone in the Ulster final at the weekend, because it's the newspaper up in the dressing room wall. It's John O'Mahony's fancy dance. That's what this is. Now I'm not going to make this all about Monaghan, because Nathan Murphy, of course, you mentioned him, probably indirectly making it all about Mayo by talking about you, because. And I don't even understand why, because the reality is the Connacht champions this year play the Leinster champions in All-Ireland semi-final. So Mayo won't have to worry about Kerry this year. It's going to be a Mayo-Dublin All-Ireland semi-final, and Dublin are going to win that match. So I can't see a Mayo-Kerry game happening. Now, if Cillian O'Connor can make a miraculous recovery from injury, I'll give them every chance going into a game against Dublin. And they were excellent in the Connacht final at the weekend, it has to be said. But I still don't... I think... Yeah, Kerry are living in Nathan Murphy's head rent-free, for sure. But there's no need for it, because I don't think that matchup's going to happen this year. So the power rankings, just making people angry since, 2020, whenever this thing was invented.
You must be particularly angry, because it seems that Monaghan have been written off in two respects. The first respect is that everybody's saying Kerry-Dublin will be a great All-Ireland final, suggesting that Kerry are going to come through their side of the draw. But people who are making a caveat tend to be saying, if Kerry beat Tyrone. So on both counts, Monaghan are being completely screwed over. You would think that there is only one provincial final left to play. I've heard people say Dublin or Kildare more than I've heard people say Tyrone or Monaghan. Why is this happening, Shane, and how angry are you as a result of that?
I'm very calm, very composed, Eoin. I mean, I sat in this watching this show last week. Aisling O'Reilly was on with yourselves on OTB AM, and you were all talking about Tyrone being All-Ireland contenders. Talking about Darren McCurry, rightly so. What a player, and what an Ulster Championship he's had so far. He's just an incredible talent. Cathal McShane as well. Conor McKenna coming back into this team. No doubt about it, Tyrone are a serious outfit, a tough team to beat. But to call them All-Ireland contenders when they have an Ulster final against a Monaghan team that has a bug to bear with this Tyrone team, that there's a different vibe going into this game. Like ordinarily, Monaghan playing Tyrone in Croke Park, there is that bogey team attitude in Monaghan. You've got the feel heading into it, the week heading into it, of not Tyrone again. I can tell you in Monaghan that this week there is no such feeling. There is just a feeling of looking forward to this game. If Darren McCurry, Cal McShane, all these Tyrone forwards that are so excellent, they have to come up against talented man markers, and that Monaghan full back line, Kieran Duffy, Conor Boyle, Ryan Wiley, all excellent man markers. Whoever they pick up is going to have a tough day. There's no doubt about it. And I'm trying to make the case for Monaghan here, knowing that Tyrone are going to be slight favourites heading into this game, unquestionably. But Kieran Duffy is the stickiest man marker in the country. I mean, the Latin man, if he was marking you in a club game, you'd probably walk off. There's no point. What's the point in even playing? Because he can keep the best forward in the country scoreless from play. And the Monaghan team, if they can have a field day up front, if Jack McCarron, Conor McCarthy, Conor McManus can all have their shooting boots on in a similar vein that they did against Armagh, this could be a really, really good Ulster final. I'm hoping for a bit of decent weather, the big Croke Park pitch. It's going to be a cracker of an Ulster final. And look, either team could win this. It's a 50-50 match, as was the Armagh semi-final against Monaghan. But make no doubt about it, Tyrone have their hands full if they're going to win Ulster. And if they do win Ulster on Saturday, they'll have earned it.
What do you make of the game being played in Croke Park?
See, there's a lot of Monaghan GAA bones to bear over the last few days on forums and on Twitter and that sort of thing, because it's quite difficult to get tickets for this match, given the limit of 18,000 people, and especially now that it's a triple header on Saturday in Croke Park. So you've got the Nicky Rackard Cup final between Tyrone and Mayo at 1:30. Then you've got at 4:00 Monaghan and Tyrone in the Ulster Senior Football final, and after that then at 6:30 Fermanagh versus Cavan in the Lory Maher Cup final in the hurling. So going to be a strange day. Now, there's pods of 5 as well for tickets. I've seen a lot of people giving out about, and I saw one person posting online as well that if you have an Ulster final in Clonus, 2 adults and 3 kids tickets, which is a fairly common order, €65 that would cost you. In Croke Park, the same seems to be costing €165. Now, that's what one person said online. I don't really understand the GAA's logic in moving this match to Croke Park. I know it was the same for the Connacht final, and you cannot take away from the fact that the Connacht Council and the Ulster Council asked for this because they need the money as well. They've had a tough year, and they probably want to sell the extra tickets. That's all well and good, and they say they want more fans to get in there. But the fact that then it's turned into a triple header for Monaghan, and there's less tickets available for both Monaghan and Cavan and Tyrone. Sorry, that's kind of hard to grasp. And don't get me wrong, Croke Park it'll be an excellent event on Saturday. It'll be an excellent event on Sunday as well in the Leinster final, the true home of the Leinster final at least. But it's just a strange feeling. I mean, the Connacht final had a weird feel to it. You get so used to seeing the Connacht trophy being lifted up in Dr. Hyde Park or in Castlebar or in Pearse Stadium or even in Tuam. It just didn't have the same feel. And Clonus and the Ulster final go hand in hand. Clonus is the home of Ulster football. Walking up that hill in the sun on an Ulster final day, there's no feeling like it. And it truly is, where the Ulster final belongs. And I just hope it's not a long-term thing. I hope it is only a COVID decision that they wanted to move it away just for this year. Even listening to Peter Canavan the other day, he said his choice would be to have a bigger crowd in Clonus or Castlebar. Surely you could get still 10 or 12,000 in at least, even with COVID guidelines. And you could argue that people travelling from Castlebar, staying overnight, and the rest of it are more likely to spread COVID-19 than if it was just left in Connacht or even left in Clonus. I don't know. I'm not an epidemiologist. I don't know what the answer to that is. But either way, Tyrone will be glad to play in Croke Park. They'll be glad not to have to go to Clonus and play in Monaghan, even though they're very used to that pitch. But it's a strange one. Mayo are fine because they've played in Croke Park so often compared to Galway. But I just hope it's not a long-term thing. Like Croke Park,
I know it won't be. Show. It's a reaction to COVID, and I think it's the seats. You need a full stadium with seats, and to be able to put the 18,000 or whatever. I'm sure it'll be back to Clonus again next year.